Growing up as a Hindu girl is confusing. Hinduism gives us devis full of courage and power, but it also gives us rituals and restrictions that we're expected to not question. Add to that the influence of Western culture, and many girls, like me, end up confused. This is a video about that confusion. I want to talk to you about periods, devotion to Shakti, and effects of westernization on our everyday experience as Hindu girls. First off, Hindu society does not speak with a single voice. It says everything all at once. There's no one book, no single doctrine that lays down all the rules. Every aspect of growing up Hindu is a blend of rituals, scriptures, caste codes, tantra based traditions, regional traditions and folk tales, colonization, and modern Hindu laws. And that plurality, while often celebrated, can also be deeply disorienting. Take something as basic as menstruation. In Assam, the Kamakya temple has an annual festival called the Ambumachi Mela, dedicated to Ma Kamakya Devi's menstrual bleeding. But the larger reality of this country is that menstruating women are considered impure and dirty. Girls are told not to enter temples, not to touch certain foods, not to sleep in the same bed as their family. Many are still excluded from everyday life in subtle and not so subtle ways. In his writings, Nitin Sridhar, the author of Menstruation Across Cultures, a historical perspective, elaborates on this very point. In India and in Hindu society, one may routinely observe menstruating women practicing one or the other kind of restrictions and some notion of impurity being attached to menstruation. But in contrast to Abrahamic religions and many other cultures across the world, one will also witness Hindus celebrating menstruation in various forms. What are we supposed to learn from that? And that's the thing about growing up Hindu, where so many of our experiences exist in this space of dilemma. You can find an argument for almost anything, and that also means that there's an argument against it. How are we supposed to make sense of all this? How do you grow up in a culture that never quite tells you where to stand? I grew up with stories of powerful Hindu feminine archetypes and often felt that I had less agency than those women. Sometimes I feel I should not have been born in India today, but in an era that is long gone. Sanatan Dharma places goddesses at the center of its spiritual universe: Durga, Saraswati, Lakshmi. Each one embodies a distinct form of agency and power. Yet, in real life, those same qualities are discouraged in us. Rachel McCoppin, in her book Goddess Lost, explains that the decline of goddess worship across civilizations was deeply tied to the subjugation of women. In societies where female deities once held central power, women also had greater social standing. But as patriarchal structures grew stronger, these goddesses were either erased, domesticated, or reframed as subordinate to male gods. Hinduism never fully lost its goddesses, but over time, their wild, independent nature has been softened. Ma Kali is still worshipped, but how many households really encourage their daughters to be like her? Unapologetic, fearsome, uncontrollable? If our goddesses are fearless and independent, why are we expected to be obedient and self sacrificing? Why are we always asked to adjust? And how did we go from worshipping powerful feminine energy to asking women to shrink themselves and stay in the kitchen? Despite its theological complexity and philosophical openness, Hindu society continues to place rigid expectations on its women, especially when it comes to following traditions. We are constantly told that we must preserve Hindu culture, yet we are rarely given the authority to shape it. Whenever there is even the slightest pushback or resistance, moral policing is almost always directed at women who dare to ask questions. The irony is that it's usually men and religious male figures and patriarchs who define what Hinduism really means, while women are expected to uphold it without argument. Maybe you felt that too, that you're expected to carry forward a tradition, but you're not allowed to question it, interpret it in your own terms. With globalization, many girls find Western ideas of personal freedom and independence more appealing than what is taught to them at home in India. Whether or not you've ever left or lived as a Hindu abroad, you've probably already noticed the gap between how you're expected to live at home and what you see, hear, and imagine outside it. It might show up in the media you consume, the careers you aspire to have, the friends you talk to, the silence that you have to hold in front of your relatives. And maybe you've never been able to name it, but you felt it. As a result, many young Hindus walk away from Dharma entirely. And that's not because they lack faith, but because they are frustrated with superstition, gender restrictions, and just baseless orthodoxy. But is walking away the only option? Is getting detached and completely westernizing yourself the only option? I don't think so. India is the last major civilization that is still standing where the divine feminine remains both supreme and is actively worshipped. And I think that's worth something. Given this, I do, however, feel friction with Hindu society today, and I'm a religious person. I don't have neat answers, but I know that I'm not alone in asking these questions. Hinduism is not monolithic, and many who feel restricted by it still find ways to reclaim it. We've done it for centuries. Bhakti poets like Mirabai, in fact, openly challenged patriarchy but remained deeply Hindu. How could you be more Hindu than Mirabai? If the version of Hinduism you grew up with was rigid, prescriptive, and full of do's and don'ts, I understand why you might feel the need to leave it behind. Looking back, being a Kanya was the best part of my life. During the days of Navaratri, I was honored, worshipped, I was divine. But that girlhood was short, and that divinity even shorter. On a concluding note, however, I want to say that with the new generation of Hindus gaining access to religious discourse through the internet, I am optimistic that these temporary regressions that have now become part of our culture will fade. Traditions will evolve just as it always has, and perhaps very soon, Hindu girlhood will not be so confusing. This was my first YouTube video. It was an attempt to articulate the larger dissonance that comes with navigating life as a religious Hindu girl. It's just my perspective, and if you want to add any of your personal stories, please feel to let me know in the comments. Thank you so much. Bye bye.